They're using a very primitive dialect, but I do believe they think I am some sort of god.
Doctors found that he had lost all comprehension of French, but that he spoke English fluently, albeit in regional dialect they didn't recognize.
You may not speak exactly your dialect or whatever, but I need you to translate and help me out of a jam.
The writing on the box is Arabic, but it's in the Maghrebi dialect, what they speak in Morocco.
The chief says he has not understood the dialect you're using.
Maybe a different dialect.
I'm a little rusty in the Pukamatuna dialect, so I want you to translate what I say word for word.
Okay.
It's a word in an African dialect meaning thief in a much less friendly way.
And in order to really master a dialect, you need to have these vowels. And it is... Danny, come on!
Fine.
It's an ancient Egyptian dialect.
I just feel like everyone's talking in some far northern Hungarian dialect over there.
Sometimes he speaks in a kind of tender dialect.
It's a cross between Ukraine and Bulgarian dialect.
Officially, yes, but when I read, it's a Romanian dialect.
But we did manage to find a dialect, which we both had some knowledge.
Specifically, a rare dialect of Hungarian only spoken near the Romanian border.
These symbols here are part of the oldest dialect I'm aware of. It says...
Wild is fluency in an obscure Apache dialect.
Or Tamazight, I suppose, is the dialect.
I happen to know this dialect.
Yes. You speak as good a native dialect as anyone?
The dialect.
It's been many years since we've heard the Hakka dialect spoken.
It's a dialect I've never heard before.
I went to see a dialect coach.
Because we're speaking dialect.
That must be a Galactic 5 dialect.
The accent is from Boston, but I went to UPenn and lost most of it in a Delaware Valley dialect.
The dialect is different.
To go out of my dialect, which you discommend so much.
What dialect?
What's that African dialect?
Tuareg. I thought my German was pretty good, but everyone here speaks so fast, and if they have a dialect, forget about it.
It's a tribal dialect of Matoban, but it's spoken throughout the South Central African belt.
Well, Mom wanted Dad to speak at least one line in native dialect properly.
Yeah, well, that's because Virgil hired a dialect coach for me.
And while I still have some difficulty with the dialect, I try to teach in the language of sympathy, which is understood by all.
Is that dialect?
It's an East Greenlandic dialect.
You see, my father was speaking an Apache dialect, an obscure dialect at that, spoken only by a...
Not if you're briefed in tribal ways and learn the Manta dialect.
Try another dialect.
What dialect is that?
The black poets that write in that crazy dialect, all the poets.
That's dialect, isn't it?
Have you not read it in its original Wu dialect?
It's a dialect that was used in Galilee around the time of Jesus.
Thou hast a strange dialect.
And he did it in a dialect spoken by less than 400,000 people in the world.
Near Mindanao, her dialect being Magindano.
I need someone, and this guy speaks my dialect, so he'll be perfect for the naval job.
Yes, and most commonly known in a model derivation of an old Haukamalem dialect as Sasquatch.
Oh no, that's not mine. Yeah, I like English is my native dialect.
He speaks a different dialect than I'm used to, but I'll give it another whirl.
Of our hills, there I learned from each tribe his dialect.
And from his dialect, I know you'd never suspect that he's the Caballero from Broadway. South on Broadway.
And I spoke with Max today in the Aranda dialect, and he told me he was innocent.
Would it be more helpful for you if you said it in, like, your native dialect?
Ever since I walked in the rain as a boy, sparking Henry V to get rid of a Norfolk dialect.
What are you talking about, a dialect?
It's important that you don't try to speak perfect textbook Gaelic, because we're really interested in your specific dialect of Hebridean Gaelic.
They already wrote it, but these look like a native dialect.
It's a camel dialect with rather a thick accent.
With the dialect of direct, they sidestep.
Some of it's written in an ancient dialect, but the title is a direct translation from German.
I was just thrown off by your dialect.
Ernie, it's his dialect.
Well, they go out of my dialect, which you discommend so much.
Mandarin is actually the most spoken dialect, but the Chinese speak hundreds of different distinct languages.
The name translates in the local dialect as sound, parnagus, and light, veg.
Your dialect is perfect.
It's a Slav dialect.
Now, obviously, you'll be using a more contemporary dialect.
and a lot of other innovations we've made since Jim's time.
Maybe it's a different dialect.
Oh, I've been doing a bunch of online tutorials for dialect training.
To diffuse a uniformity and purity of language in America, to destroy the provincial prejudices that originate in the trifling differences of dialect.
I'm speaking to him in a dialect he can't refuse to understand.
To always speak dialect.
He mumbles a couple of things to me in some crazy dialect, ushers me inside, pours me a glass of wine, and leads me to this.
You can still sort of hear that Minnesota dialect every now and then, don't you know?
Probably can't help you to understand the dialect, but I can help you the rest of your way.
Might be just a different dialect, or...
Anya, it's surprising, the dialect it speaks.
It is a dialect of Dutch.
Oh, she excels at dialect.
That's an ancient dialect spoken by mythological figures during the Arabic Crusade against the Christian invasion.
Only at first, until they discovered that I could speak their dialect.
The name my master gifted to me is in a Phoenician dialect that hasn't been spoken for 3,500 years, but I'll give you the nearest English equivalent.
If they were practically unknown, how could you have known their dialect?
There's a dialect of Spanish, Castilian, right?
I hire a dialect coach, the best guy in town.
Except for Ishi himself, I may be the only person in the world with a functional grasp of the Yahi dialect.
Please allow me to point out the complex aesthetic dialect between these two components.
With the noose fitted around his neck, he muttered some words in an ancient dialect that apparently cast an eternal curse on that ring and all of those who inhabit this sacred land.
Okay, so your gastroenterologist is the dialect coach at 3 o'clock.
Do some more online dialect tutorials and join us for rehearsals in the afternoon.
Mr. Lee, since you're so eager to voice your opinion, why don't you read the section on Platonic dialect and tell us how it differs with the practices of today?
My PhD thesis was on dialect diversity of ancient Germanic tribes.
I found photos of the device that reveal an obscure dialect SG-1 found on the planet Argos, P3X84.